Kalafata, good evening and welcome to tonight's bulletin of BCN News. Leading the news tonight, the Constitution Review Committee of the Whanokepule has decided that the process of the review will only focus on parts 1 and 2 of the Constitution. The committee will accept public submissions until the end of April. The review of the 1974 Constitution will focus on parts 1 and 2 only. Part 1, which starts from Articles 1 to Article 15, provides for the Executive Government of Niue, the Cabinet and the seal of Niue in Article 15. Part 2 of the Constitution starts with Article 16 to Article 36, which includes the Legislative Government of Niue, the Niue Assembly, qualifications of electors and candidates, the Speaker of the Niue Assembly, procedures of the Assembly, privileges of the Assembly and members of the Assembly. It also includes remuneration of the Premier, Ministers, members of the Assembly and the Speaker of the House, and the dissolution of the Niue Assembly. Making of laws is also provided for in Part 2, special provisions with regard to measures affecting the public service, special provisions with regards to the measures affecting Niuean land, powers of the Niue Assembly to repeal or amend this Constitution, and Article 36 in regards to New Zealand Parliament not to legislate for Niue, and the New Zealand subordinate legislations not to apply to Niue except with consent. The government's wage subsidies for the private sector will continue on a month-by-month basis, but it is heavily reduced to 60% of what it was previously. There are also major changes as to who and what type of businesses are eligible for this round of the subsidies. Here's more on that story. The Chamber of Commerce this week informed the business community that after further discussions with the government, the wage subsidies will continue for the next couple of months on a month-to-month basis, although there will be changes and a reduction of some 60% to what it was originally. Some of the main changes include the exclusion of some of those who were previously part of the subsidies. They include business owners and or employees who work full-time for the government, NGO or any other form of employment. They will not be eligible for the subsidies this time. Students will also not be eligible. Business owners with more than one business can only apply for one of your businesses. Business owners and employees who are off-island for reasons due to medical, work or personal or any other reason will not be eligible for the wage subsidies while you are overseas. On Monday this week, a woman in her mid-30s needing urgent medical care was medevaced on an Air New Zealand cargo flight. A nurse from Auckland flew in on that flight to provide care during the 3-hour flight back to New Zealand. The Director of Health, Dr. Eddie Akawala, told BCN News on Tuesday that the patient was transferred directly to Middlemore Hospital on arrival into Auckland Airport. She is currently receiving the care she needs at the Middlemore Hospital. BCN News understands that this patient was one of many hospital referral patients who are still waiting for vouchers to travel for further medical care in New Zealand. Since the voucher system was introduced by New Zealand in September last year, the new Health Director Dr. Eddie Akawala has expressed grave concerns for the referral patients not being able to get to New Zealand because of the lack of vouchers. Veteran Member of Parliament Olaf Jacobson has also weighed in on the desperate situation for the patients and her call on the Niue government to do something to start the one-way quarantine-free travel to New Zealand for Niue passengers. Last week, the Director General of Social Services, Galen Tasmania, told BCN News that they have done their part on the officials level. The Minister of Health, Honourable Sauni Tongatule, also said last week that they are now waiting on the two leaders, Premier Tagelangi and Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, to finalise and sign the agreement after receiving cabinet approval from both sides. The Cook Islands started their quarantine-free travel to New Zealand in early February. And the Minister of Finance, Honourable Crosley Tatui, has ordered the internal auditor to investigate allegations that the government is being charged for the food orders and lunch expenses of some senior public servants. The minister told BCN News that he is alarmed by these allegations and he wants the investigation to determine whether these allegations are true or not. Last week, BCN News was approached by a local source saying that there are a few public servants, senior public servants, who are ordering their food and drinks from a number of cafes and restaurants on the island and charged to the government or project accounts. The individual told BCN News reporter that the private sector workers are struggling to survive now with the reduction of the wage subsidies, and yet there are senior public servants charging their meals to the government. BCN News then contacted the Minister of Finance, the Public Service Commission and the Secretary to Government with questions. Minister Tatui says that this was the first time he has heard of the allegations that some senior public servants are enjoying their meals and paid for by the government. The minister responded via email saying that while this is an alarming allegation, he is not surprised given the laxity of internal control and lack of internal audits, but that they are going to do everything possible to address some of these issues, including lack of good governance, transparency and accountability principles, and the decimated compliant values in the public service. The Public Service Commission and the Secretary to Government have yet to respond to the questions from BCN News. A 22-year-old man remains in custody after his bail was denied for stealing a police patrol vehicle on Saturday, the 27th of February. According to the police, he is charged with conversion and will likely face additional charges when he will appear in the Niue High Court on the 18th of this month. According to the police, on Saturday night, 27th of February, a 22-year-old man, not a member of the police force, was witnessed driving a police patrol vehicle. The police was able to locate the person, who was found to be heavily intoxicated, and he was put in jail on that Saturday night. During the investigation, the police surveillance footage showed that the man stole the police patrol vehicle from the police station at Whanuakula at around 9:55 p.m. on Saturday night. According to the police press statement, during the course of the investigation, it was also determined that a collision had occurred, causing damage to the police vehicle. The subject is currently being held on a conversion charge, and the police anticipate that additional charges will be laid. At a bail hearing earlier this week, he was denied bail and remains in custody awaiting his trial on March 18th. The University of the South Pacific's Niue campus director, Sione Lolesio, is very pleased with the increase in the number of enrollments to study at the Paliasi campus this semester. Here's more on that story. While some of these students are those repatriated from Fiji and Vanuatu last year, the majority are new enrollments from the local communities. There are 15 students enrolled for the Certificate of Justice. These students include land commissioners and the justice staff and some private students. There are 2 NZ-Aid scholarship students and 2 Aus-Aid scholarship students continuing their studies at USP Niue while awaiting their return to Laudala in Fiji and Amalis in Vanuatu. There are also 8 students about to study for the certificate in vernacular Wangahau Niue. 10 other new applications to the programs ranging from certificate level to the postgraduate and master's level, with the MBA students continuing their program until August this year. Of the new applicants, 3 just completed their Year 13 last year NCEA at Niue High School, and 2 of whom are on full-time study on campus. Director Lolesio says that this is a great improvement from the past years, where most of the students were adult students already working. He is excited to have a full campus this semester. And wishing all the very best for the students studying at USP at Paliasi this semester. And to end our bulletin tonight, here's something new to try out with the Niue Kilikiki Federation looking to host a one-day 50-50 cricket tournament this year. According to the Cricket Federation's president, Tom Senior Misikea, there wasn't much interest from the teams for village cricket tournaments that they used to host, so they are looking at a 15-a-side 50-50 tournament and hoping to get from 4 to 8 teams to begin with. Misikea says that the 50-50 tournament is a fast-paced cricket game and they're hoping for more interest from the younger players and women teams as well. Niue Kilikiki Federation says that they also want to promote healthy, active lifestyles and to maintain the interest in the sport of cricket on the island. And that's our news for tonight. We'll be back with you on Tuesday next week with our bulletin in Wangahau Niue. But from us, the news team, you have a lovely weekend. Murinepo, good night.